welcome back to my channel. It's Sophie and I'm going to be continuing the last video, which is about moving country. Moving to Spain. So in the last video I talked about why we moved, who moved, and like where we moved to. Here I'm going to be talking about what actually happened when I arrived in Spain. Okay, so when I moved to Spain, it was around August, September time. So basically that means that a new school year was starting, and the new school year here goes from September to June. So basically I was put into a Spanish school. Spanish schools here are basically mostly public. There is some private schools, and there was actually one private school very close to where we lived, and it was an English school. That basically just seemed like the easy option. Private schools are obviously really expensive. We don't have the money in general, but I'm really glad I didn't go to that school. Like everyone that I've met, and like they're great people, but everyone that I've met that's gone to that school has gone to that school because eventually they've wanted to move back to England. Basically because they don't learn the language. You're living in Spain, but you're in an English environment because at home you're speaking English and you're speaking English at school. So you're basically not learning anything. It's basically going to school in England but here, and they don't learn. And that's one thing that I found, like people that I met that went to that school, I spoke to them, they didn't have a clue of the language or anything, and it just didn't feel right to me. They were happy, they were fine, and I'm glad, like, for them, I'm happy for them. If they've moved back to England, whatever they're doing, great. But for me, nah. If I'm here, then I want to be here. I want to live like they live, you know what I mean? If I'm moved to a country, why the hell would I want to live like I already lived? Because what's the point of moving? So for me, at first I was like, oh, it would be much easier to be in an English school, but now I'm like really glad I didn't. So yeah, I went into a Spanish school. In a Spanish school, they obviously don't speak English, so Spanish from a really young age, maybe from around 4 or 5, they start learning English in school, which is great. And that's basically what should happen in England as well with other languages, because in the end, basically every Spanish person knows how to speak at least a little bit of English to get them through in a conversation. That wouldn't happen in England with any other language. So yeah, there was one class, maybe, I don't even think there was one class a day, maybe like 3 classes a week of English classes, and everything else was in Spanish, which wasn't the best, considering I had lived here, there for about 2 months. So, a big question is, did I get bullied? The one thing that I didn't even really remember, to be honest, I've spoken to my friends from school, and we're really good friends now. But there's sometimes when we've talked about the past and they'll be like, oh my God, I remember when you moved here and you didn't know any Spanish, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, oh yeah, we used to laugh about you and laugh at you. And it's like, thanks. But no, it was friendly, like banter. But at the time, I didn't even know that was happening. Obviously, I didn't understand them. So they'd be speaking to me and I wouldn't have understood what they were saying. And with the time, I'll talk about this another time, but with the time I learned the language, thank God, and then understood them, and now I understood when they say to me like, oh yeah, we were laughing at you. Just like, oh thanks, great. But no, I understand, like you're stuck in that school, you don't know the language, then what else are you gonna do? But yeah, I remember not knowing anything, like being praised for knowing the colours in Spanish. But that was a great thing about living in such a small place. You got like more private tuition in the sense that like teachers could be more on you. They taught me a lot more, and I had the time and the space to grow and to learn in that situation basically, and I'm really glad that I did. but it took time. It took quite a lot of time for me to get where I am now, basically. So yeah, talking about the people that I went to school with, they were mostly people from that little village where I lived, and they are people that I still meet now, I still speak to now, and really, really good friends of mine. So making friends at the beginning was not that hard. I had, at that age, 10, even younger, once you're a teenager it gets a bit harder to make friends, but that age, thankfully, I was still not there yet, so I was able to make friends pretty fast. I was nervous and shy because I didn't know the language, but I was still quite sociable, so yeah, I made friends with people from my school. Then I met some of the people that are now my best friends in life. Living in Alicante, if you've ever been, you'll know, it is one of the most English parts of Spain. Like Benidorm, you know, is very English. Inland areas, even though there's really, really Spanish-y villages, they're full of English people. So I went to an English theatre class. I met loads of English people through that. I met English people just generally because they also lived there. But that was great because then I had a mix of like English and Spanish. Didn't forget my own language, obviously, and was able to learn another one and have friends in like different groups of friends for different occasions, which for me was great. If there's any differences that I remember, I will make another video like comparing England to Spain, but for now I just wanted to tell you how I got to where I am today, how I moved here, why I moved here, and yeah. And the last thing that lots of people ask me is, do I ever go to England? Now, they ask me mostly that from here. They're like, oh, do you actually go home and see like everyone there? I do, but not as much as I would like. Maybe I go once a year. This year I was actually planning to go pretty soon, end of June. But obviously quarantine, I don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah, I really do miss England. Like, everyone's like, oh God, yeah, England, why would you want to live there? The weather, blah, blah. Don't fuss me, I love it. I love the weather, I love the cold, love the people that I know anyway. Love to go home, see family and friends from before. Like, I still have friends in England from when I went to school in England, like from when I was like 8 or 9. I still have people that I know, and when I go back we meet up, which is great. Obviously there's lots of people that I know or knew. We're really great friends, and sadly being away for so long without obviously connection, we didn't have Facebook bloody hell, can't speak. We didn't have Facebook back then, so sadly kind of lost connection. Now I like see everyone on Facebook and Instagram, but it's not like the connection that I had before, so I wouldn't go back and say, hey, do you want to meet? Because it's just not, no. But there is still some people that I go back and see, and obviously my family most of all. I still love the food. I love going like to Tesco's, any supermarket for me. Like when I go home, I prefer that than going bloody shopping. But yeah, I love going clothes shopping as well, anything. I do love England. Don't know if I'd ever move back there. You'll see if I ever do. But yeah. This is a really short video because I wanted to like separate it in two so it wasn't too long, but that made this one a bit shorter, sorry. And yeah, soon I'll talk more about learning the language and things like that. And if you have any more ideas that you'd like to hear from me, please comment them down below, like this video, subscribe to me if you want any more, and yeah, show the love. And I'll see you soon. Bye.